As promised, my immediate Royal Rumble reaction. The pay-per-view literally just ended. As a matter of fact, they have just started the Fallout show on the WWE Network, and they just planted the seed of John Cena and Rusev at WrestleMania, so that's a whole nother match we're going to have to talk about in the next few days. But I know you guys want to know my opinions of Royal Rumble. Okay, now, I'm going to give you my initial reaction here, but maybe after I sleep on it, maybe after I give it some thought and think about it tomorrow and we get through Raw, maybe my opinions and maybe some of the things I'm going to say right now will change. So don't necessarily hold me to anything, but this is how I feel about it. Royal Rumble was not a horrible show. Don't forget we were all jizzing in our pants over the WWE title match less than an hour before the debacle with Roman Reigns. I know that there were a ton of disappointing things about this year's Royal Rumble match, and what makes me the most mad about it is that the WWE almost literally did the exact same thing as last year. They knew the fans, especially a crowd like Philadelphia, in a city like that are very smarky, they had to know that that crowd was going to take a shit on Roman Reigns if he won the Rumble. They just saw the same thing happen last year with Batista. I thought the only way the WWE was going to get out of this situation alive was to have some sort of a huge surprise or have a guy like Daniel Bryan or another guy that most of the fans are behind win this thing as a surprise or have a huge surprise entrant. And they were teasing The Rock all afternoon, even yesterday when The Rock got into Philadelphia. He tweeted and let all the fans know that he was there. So they were teasing a Rock appearance of some kind, and we all thought he could be in the Royal Rumble. So the fact that they didn't go with any of that and they stayed the course with their idea of Roman Reigns, who I did predict, my predictions were actually perfect in the entire pay-per-view. I got every match right with the exception of the pre-show match, which who really gives a fuck about that thing? But the major stuff I got right, and Roman Reigns, I just had this sneaky suspicion that the WWE, despite the fans clearly not wanting this, that they were going to go in that direction anyway. So I said to myself, fine, if they insist on making Roman Reigns the guy, because that's what they want to do, at least give us something. At least give us something we didn't expect, or at least make the Royal Rumble so great and so amazing to where if you were pissed off about Roman Reigns' victory, it was bearable because the match was so good. Just anything like that was all I wanted. Because I truly feel that this is a different situation from last year. Even though this Royal Rumble resembled last year because of the fans so heavily booing it and chanting everybody else's name in the world except for the guy that WWE wanted to have win this thing, the similarities with the fans and the crowd rejecting WWE's ideas, that's all the same, but I still don't think it's as the same as last year, because with last year, I was legitimately furious about Batista. I did not think it was right. I thought this was a guy that was on the shelf for 4 years, that the fans really didn't care that he was coming back anyway. I think the WWE thought he was more over than he was, and they were expecting some, warm, rock-like welcome back from the WWE Universe. They didn't get that, and they were surprised. We all saw that coming. This year, it's a little bit different, because really, the fans, I don't truly think, have that much of a problem with Roman Reigns. At least I don't hope they do, because I think that's incredibly heartless. I think the fans' biggest problem here is that they are just apt and prone to reject anything that the WWE kind of forces on them. And the WWE really sees dollars in Roman Reigns, and they have made that clear, and the fans don't like it because they're still not over, what's been going on with John Cena for the last 10 years. They don't like anything shoved down their throat, and they reject it automatically. But when you think about it, I'm trying to be optimistic here. Everybody says, you give the WWE too much credit, and you have too much faith in them. First of all, I hate the word faith. I don't have faith in anything. But look at last year. The same thing happened. We lost our minds after the Royal Rumble, and the WWE made it right. There is still time for WWE to do things here and make this WrestleMania very enjoyable. Yes, the Royal Rumble was disappointing. I agree 100%, but why don't you give it time? Let it run its course and don't freak out, because in this case, you got to remember, like I said, with the fans just automatically rejecting anything the WWE forces on us, you got to think about Roman Reigns. So what they're doing right now, so far anyway, is they're building towards Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. When you look at that on paper and you forget all about what the WWE has been doing with Roman and shoving him down your throats, which everybody fucking hates, if you take all of that away for a second, what is there to dislike? First of all, Brock has a new opponent. Aren't we tired of this guy wrestling the same people every time? Number two, this new opponent is young. And number three, this new opponent has got a tremendous family history in wrestling. This has all of the things you would want, all of the ingredients you would want, and a new superstar and a new guy and a new feud, and all of that. But the problem is the WWE overdo things so much, and they try so hard to get Roman Reigns over, it actually reverses in on itself, and it gets the fans to reject it. And the WWE has got to fucking know better. But you know who else has to know better? The fans. Don't act like you're surprised that this is the type of shit that WWE does. Have you not seen John Cena for the last 10 years? Haven't you suffered through enough? You should know better by now that when the WWE wants to do something, they are going to fucking do it. And I think even though the WWE can be spiteful assholes and literally give a giant middle finger to their WWE universe if it doesn't suit the direction they want to go, they tend to make up for it in other ways. Because look at the WWE title match. That was a fantastic match. Right off the bat, people are already screaming match of the year. Brock was a dominant motherfucking gorilla, and I loved it. He is such a monster. The way he performed in that match, and he was out cold on the outside, the stretcher came up, and then he popped up and went in there and annihilated everybody and retained his title. It was fucking awesome. The crowd lost their mind about it. Everybody on Twitter was marking out for it. We loved it. The WWE gave us that to hopefully lessen the blow of Roman Reigns. So the WWE, I think, at least tries on some occasion to give us something back. Even though when they know they're going to piss off the smart portion of the audience, they tend to try to give us a little bit something back. And we got that in the WWE title match. That was not a disappointing match, despite the fact that the hated John Cena was involved in it. And just like I say every time in every show when something disappointing takes place or John Cena, God forbid, wins a match, I always say I try not to make it enough to ruin the entire experience for me. Yes, I think I was truly disappointed. Even though I picked Roman Reigns to win, I really didn't want him to any more than you guys did. I was hoping for Daniel Bryan. I was hoping for Dolph Ziggler. I was hoping for Rusev. I was hoping for anybody or a surprise or something like that. I just wanted something different than the WWE was making so obvious that was going to happen. But unfortunately, we didn't get that, and WWE tried to make up for it. You know, we finally found out the purpose of The Rock. He came out there at the end to help Roman Reigns, who I thought had already won the match. The finish was kind of interesting, because when they got down to the final four, I think it was Reigns and Ambrose and Kane and Big Show, but Rusev was on the outside of the ring, and he wasn't eliminated. I think the fans in the arena knew. I had no fucking idea. I was barely paying attention anyway, because once we saw the direction it was going in, I spent most of my time on Twitter and not really looking at the show. So finally, when Reigns is the last guy standing in the ring, Big Show and Kane get back in there and beat him up, and that's when The Rock comes out. So clearly the WWE's plan here was to have The Rock come in to lighten the blow and lessen the pain of the fans who clearly don't want this guy to win. The WWE thought to themselves, well, we're in a city, we're in a venue that is not going to accept Roman Reigns, but we still want to go in this direction, so we have to make it through the show, you know, as painlessly as possible. So that's why they brought The Rock out, so he can come out there and help his cousin, you know, and actually maybe get the guy a few cheers, but it really didn't work. The fans were booing it anyway. Even with The Rock out there at the end, you know, they were still booing it. And I think it was after all that when Rusev actually jumped back in the ring and it was revealed that he was not eliminated yet, and then Reigns tossed him out to officially win the match, and The Rock stands with Roman Reigns in the ring. The Authority comes out and kind of stares him down. They don't seem too pleased. So Roman Reigns obviously is going to be on the Authority shit list, and that's all going to tie in leading up to WrestleMania. So, you know, what I'm saying is I know nobody, because everybody's, you know, the post-Royal Rumble reaction I assume is going to be very, very negative, so nobody's going to like what I have to say here, but I don't give a fuck. I say what I want. You got to try to be a little bit optimistic. You know, I understand and don't think that I'm not agreeing with anybody that didn't like this Royal Rumble match. You know, the Royal Rumble match itself. I'm not talking about the pay-per-view. I'm talking about the match. Yes, the match itself was, you know, horrifying. We really didn't want to see that happen, but when you think about where it can go, there's no telling what they can do with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar was pretty fucking over. And Roman Reigns, who WWE wants to be pretty fucking over, is not over. You know, it's been clear to us that they've been wanting to have the Brock Lesnar, you know, hold the belt to WrestleMania to drop at somebody. Everybody thought I was full of shit. They were so John Cena cynical. They were insisting to me that Brock Lesnar was not going to hang on to this thing. And I've been telling you guys since day fucking one, since he broke the streak basically, and we knew he was eventually going to get a title shot. I said right there, if and when he wins the title, he will hold it until the next year's WrestleMania. That is the only way to book a guy like that once he beats the streak. And that's what they're doing. I fucking told you. So where everybody else sees disaster, I'm going to do my best to see potential. And maybe, just maybe, because of all the things I said earlier, Reigns is a new guy and he's a young guy. What the fuck else do you want for Brock Lesnar? You don't want him in the same shit, right? You want him with new opponents. And who's to say the match is going to be horrible? Brock is awesome in the ring. Maybe Brock can bring out the best in a guy like Roman Reigns, you know? So I think the fans, part of their complaining is completely justified, because WWE, yes, is doing what they want with Roman Reigns regardless of what the fans think. But another part of it is really just revolving around that. They are so hell-bent on rejecting anything the WWE forces on them that talent tends to suffer. And I know Roman Reigns isn't perfect. He's very animated. I can see him being geared towards the younger audience, you know, in his Superman punch and his terrible scripted promos. I know the guy's got got problems, but he's got a look. He's young. He's relatively athletic. And I think in time and right opponents and right scenarios and programs and angles, the guy can be a huge star. I'm rooting for him. Why would you root against him? Just despite the WWE, it's not Roman Reigns' fault that WWE is insisting on pushing him. At least the guy has got a history in wrestling. At least his family knows a thing or two about what to do inside the squared circle. At least this guy spent a few years in NXT and has had some developmental training, unlike guys like Goldberg, who comes in off the fucking football field with no goddamn experience at all, doesn't even like wrestling, and is pushed to the moon. At least Roman Reigns is a guy that, you know, when you take away all the shit that the WWE is doing with him as far as forcing him on us, what's not to like about him? You know, give him time, give him the benefit of the doubt at least. You know, can you do that for me? There's a lot of disappointing things about the Royal Rumble. I get that. Daniel Bryan, I haven't even gotten into that yet, how early they eliminated him. You know, but you got to remember, none of this is Roman Reigns' decision, you know, and he's not booking the Royal Rumble match. WWE is telling him to go out there and win. What's he going to do? And say, no, I don't want to win? You know, let fucking Ziggler win? He's not going to say that. So before you behead Roman Reigns for having the balls to actually win the Royal Rumble match, just think about it logically and maybe direct your anger where it belongs, and that's on the WWE's shoulders, because I cannot believe they did it again. Can you? I mean, all positivity aside, I'm trying to remain positive about this, but to me it's hilarious that they learned absolutely nothing from last year's mistake. Nothing at all. They have to either be stupid or they just don't give a fuck, and I think they just don't give a fuck. I think part of the WWE, Triple H, Stephanie, even Vince, part of them has got to get off on this when they really piss off and disappoint the fans on such a, you know, in such an extreme level. The fans were booing their asses off. It was almost funny. I was watching it and I'm like, listen to these people. They are pulling their pants down and taking shits in their seat. They don't fucking care. They're booing everybody that came out there. Once Daniel Bryan was eliminated as early as he was, that was it. There was no coming back from that. I thought it was a good idea. I said to myself, you know, if they're going to eliminate Daniel Bryan and they don't really have any plans for him to win this Royal Rumble match, he can still be involved huge at WrestleMania. Just because he's not in the title match doesn't mean he can't have a high-profile match. He definitely will. So if their intent was not to have him win it this year, I like what they did. Get him out of there early then. Don't keep him in there till the end and have him in there with Roman Reigns and then Reigns tosses him out and they fucking go nuts. Get him out of there. Rip it off like a Band-Aid. That's what I always say. But the WWE, they didn't make up for it. They went right in the direction they intended on all along and made Roman Reigns the winner regardless of how bad the fans took a dump on it. It was just, it's definitely frustrating. Don't think that I don't agree. Don't think that I don't feel your pain and see where you're coming from. I totally do. You know, shit like this infuriates me about the WWE, but, you know, I'm always Mr. Positive. I'm not New Day positive, but I'm still, for the most part, pretty positive. But we did get a great WWE title match. Don't forget, Brock was booked to look like a monster. It was kick-ass, you know, match of the year comments already. I know it's only January, but people are already saying that. The rest of the undercard wasn't that great, but it wasn't horrible either. So all in all, aside from the winner of the Royal Rumble match, it wasn't half bad. You know, we had some surprise entrants. Bubba Ray Dudley. I was hoping to see both Dudley boys. They were kind of on my radar. I was thinking we could see one or both of them come into the Royal Rumble, so I wasn't that shocked to see Bubba, but man, it was awesome to see him back in the WWE after all these years in TNA. When did he work last? I want to say close to 10 years ago. It was the ECW pay-per-view, right? That would have been 05 or 06, so it's got to be close to a decade now that he's been gone. And to come back in like that in his old Dudley Boys gear was fucking great to see. DDP made an appearance in the Rumble, which, you know, a lot of people didn't think was that crazy, but I love DDP. I love the work that he does, you know, in his yoga and all the things he's done for Scott Hall and Jake Roberts. It was nice just to see him in there. I can't remember right now off the top of my head who the other surprise entrants are, but even Kofi Kingston's, you know, big spot this year failed. I think he fell into Adam Rose's posse or whatever, and they carried him around. So, you know, the fans just, you know, they kind of ruined the rest of the Royal Rumble. It was definitely one of the worst Royal Rumbles ever, just because of the fan reaction to it, all of our reaction. We were just all pissed once Daniel Bryan got eliminated. You know, from there it was like, okay, it better be Wyatt, it better be Ziggler or Cesaro or something like that. Otherwise, WWE is fucked. But we knew they weren't going to randomly go with one of those guys. I was kind of hoping maybe they would, but we really knew in our heart of hearts that was not going to happen. So I don't think we can necessarily be shocked by the ending here, but definitely the way the fans were reacting to it has got a lot of people pissed off. And all I'm saying is don't forget we were all pissed off just like this last year. And what happened? WrestleMania 30 turned out to be one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. So if you're one of those idiots that insists you're never watching again, fuck you. You know you're watching tomorrow night. So get over yourself and stop being so fucking dramatic. I think this Royal Rumble really brings out a lot of emotions in us because, you know, when you combine it with last year, that's the thing that just keeps cracking me up the most about it, is that last year we went through the same fucking shit. So this year, hopefully hopefully I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and before I completely, wipe the floor with the WWE, I'm going to wait and see what they do. There's a crazy thought. Be logical for once. Actually wait and see where something goes before I automatically reject it, because I made the mistake of automatically rejecting last year, and I turned out to have one of the most memorable times of my life watching WrestleMania 30. So, this time I'm going to be a little more cautious of how I perceive things, because we still have Monday Night Raw tomorrow, and we still have a lot of weeks, including a pay-per-view of TV, leading up to WrestleMania 31, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of other matches. Don't forget, if you don't like the idea of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, like I said, I don't hate the idea. I think the match has potential, but if you hate that idea, calm down, because you have a lot of other matches on WrestleMania that are probably going to be pretty good and probably be pretty history-making. Do you want to discuss anything else about the Rumble? Should we talk more about the WWE title match? There was a great spot where Seth Rollins dove off the top rope to a Brock Lesnar that was laying on the announce table, and an amazing, amazing shot of Seth Rollins literally flying through the air. I swear that image in slow motion of him coming down was amazing. He got seriously high. Higher than I was when I was watching the match, actually, and he came down so hard on Brock Lesnar. It was a great spot. What cracked me up is Brock is out there on the outside of the ring selling this thing. Seth Rollins is the one that needs to be stretchered out, not Brock. Seth Rollins is the one that Peter Pan from fucking 15 feet up in the air. Seth Rollins gets back in the ring and basically has an entire wrestling match with John Cena while Brock is on the outside of the ring being attended to by doctors. They even wheel out the stretcher, and as soon as I saw the stretcher, I'm like, that's it. He wins. He's going to be out there selling this thing the whole time. He's going to crawl back in at the end and fucking annihilate these guys, and that's exactly what he did. I think he was actually playing possum, because the way he scrambled and jumped back in that ring like he wasn't hurt at all, he was just a monster. It amazed me how many finishes there were. I mean, all these guys were kicking out of everything. I think at one point, Brock Lesnar took 3 AAs, which just looks stupid. Basically, Cena gives him 3 fireman's carries, and the announcers are trying to sell this like, oh, he just took 3 devastating AAs. None of them were devastating, and I think even after 3 of them, Brock could have kicked out at 1. But the 3 AAs also led into the curb stomp, and I think Brock even kicked out of that. John Cena kicked out of a few things. Seth Rollins kicked out of stuff. I mean, it was crazy, all the shit that was going on. It was definitely entertaining. Kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time, because this was the first step of going to WrestleMania. The winner of this match was really going to say a lot of what we're going to see at WrestleMania. So I was really kind of nervous as to what they were going to do. Even though I was picking Brock, I had no, for sure idea he was going to win. But I started feeling really good about it when I saw that stretcher, because it kind of made it obvious. They were really going to make Brock Lesnar look huge. Now, where does he go from here? I mean, for a guy that's supposedly leaving in a couple of months to go back to UFC, WWE sure is making him look like a badass. I mean, I guess really the more they build him up, the more they'll build up Reigns when he defeats him, so I guess that's the point. But, I'm kind of holding out hope that maybe Brock sticks around after WrestleMania. You never know. It seems unlikely, but maybe he could. But, the stronger they make Brock look, I guess in their minds, the stronger Roman Reigns is going to look if he does, in fact, win the WWE title at WrestleMania 31. Unless they do what they do last year and Daniel Bryan, because he did look disappointed after he was eliminated in the Royal Rumble. Maybe there's a storyline now where he wants another chance, or he's disappointed, or maybe they can take him in a whole different direction. But, maybe he gets his way into the match just like last year, and it's a triple threat: Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan. I guess that's a possibility. I don't see it happening this time around. Last year, the fans were pretty much demanding it. This year, even though it's kind of the same, like I said, it's not the exact same type of situation, so I don't see them putting Daniel Bryan in this match, but I suppose they could. So I don't know what to make of it. You guys let me know what you think. I'm sure you're already doing that. I'm sure the comments are just loaded with negative feedback. I know how disappointing it was, trust me. Did I talk about anything on the undercard, by the way? The Usos, thank God, retained the tag straps against The Miz and Mizdow. Paige and Natalya lost to Nikki and Brie. And the Ascension, as expected, handily defeated the New Age Outlaws, all of which I predicted. So the Royal Rumble, to me, had good and bad points. I think I'm just as disappointed as you guys are on one hand, but on the other hand, I saw a few good moments in the show as well. I mean, it's all about having fun, right? I drank a 6-pack, I tweeted with all of you, had a great time during the show. Just because Roman Reigns' music played at the end, I'm not gonna lose my mind. I'm not gonna jump off a fucking bridge. It's fucking wrestling, and like I said, haven't you gotten used to this behavior by the WWE by now? It's been fucking 10 years of this shit, and it's not about to stop. This is the way things are going to be now. You have to at least be aware of that and stop pounding your head on the table saying, why is the WWE doing this? Because this is what they always fucking do. You know that, I know that, we all know that. The very fact that this crazy fucking company can entertain us at all even blows my mind. The fact that we can have so much garbage from them, but also have great matches like we saw tonight with Seth Rollins, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar, shows me that the WWE can at least balance it out, that does not make the entire show one big puke-inducing experience. They do have the ability to entertain us from time to time, but they want Roman Reigns, and that's what they're doing. Tomorrow night on Raw should be very interesting. I will come up probably on Tuesday to discuss the fallout from Raw and how all of the dust has settled and how we're looking, going into WrestleMania, because all of my opinions here, who knows, how these opinions will hold up in the next few weeks. Things can still change. So we'll discuss the rest of this craziness in my next episode. Until then, peace.